I did something I thought I would never do, and that is go back to a game I dropped. Normally, I give every game I try 1 to 2 hours to grab my attention, and if it doesn't hook me, no matter how great the end game is, I drop it. For example, I tried Hades 2. A game that everyone seems to love. I gave it an hour and a half to impress me. It just didn't hit the same as the first one, and I haven't gone back since. But Zenless Zone Zero was different. Why did I quit in the first place and what brought me back? Well, let's dive into it. When Zenless Zone Zero was first announced, everyone, including me, was hyped. A brand new game from Hoyoverse with fresh gameplay, gorgeous character design, and a striking aesthetic. It sounded like a recipe for success. So, on July 4th, 2024, when the game finally launched, I downloaded it immediately and pressed play. And honestly, my first 30 minutes were amazing. The story opens with a comic book style presentation which instantly grabbed my attention, and for once I actually paid attention to a narrative in a Hoyoverse game. The dialogue wasn't overly drawn out and the character designs were amazing. And unlike Genshin Impact where many characters feel like reskins with minor tweaks, the cast of Zenless Zone Zero felt fresh. Unique hairstyles, outfits, and expression that made them really stand out. But then, after the introduction, it started to fall apart. After the opening, I got into a dialogue scene with 3 main characters, Abby, Billy, and Nicole, and wow, they felt lifeless. I'm not talking about the cutscenes, which we'll get to later on. I mean the in-game dialogue moments. The characters stared at me with their soulless PNG eyes. Abby's voice acting was rough, say to the least. She sounded like a monotone Siri who smoked too much with Snoop Dogg.
Okay, everyone, please look at this map of New Eridu. Our plan is enter the Cretan Hollow.
Nicole. We all know Nicole was there just for the fan service, constantly pushing her chest into frame as if that could distract me from her blandness. And Billy, I actually quite like Billy. He was very expressive, moved around the screen in fun ways, and brought some much needed energy. But the issue wasn't the voice actors, it was the direction. The dynamic, engaging storytelling from the intro was completely gone. Instead, we got your typical Hoyoverse Yap Fest. And if it hadn't been a skip button, I would have uninstalled right there. I kinda knew the story was going to be bad, but what about the combat? Typically when playing Hoyoverse games, the combat is the better part of it. And at first, the parry and dodging mechanisms were great and super satisfying, with the slow-mo effects and the impactful sound designs. But the basic combat, it didn't click. Billy's attacks dealt the same damage whether you're up close or far away, which felt lazy. Nicole had this suitcase gun that made no sense, and she wasn't even a good DPS. The only character I actually quite liked was Abby. Her playstyle was solid, and she's still part of my team today. But as much as I wanted to like the good parts of Zenless Zone Zero, everything else dragged the experience down, so I decided to drop the game. But here's the thing, Zenless Zone Zero kept popping up in conversations. People were saying it improved over time, and I started wondering if I judged it too quickly. So what made me come back? One character stood out to me. A character I actually quite liked while watching the first trailer. If you answer Yanagi, well, you are right. Sure, I know there are other fan favorites like Bernice, Caesar, and Jane Doe, but for some reason, Yanagi was the one to capture my attention. Was it the physics? Or was it how she posed as many anime characters with glasses? Of course, this wasn't the only reason I returned, but it was a huge one. The other reasons? Well, Zenless Zone Zero kept getting updates and I started to wonder, did they improve the story? Did they make the combat more engaging? So I decided to reinstall Zenless Zone Zero and give it another shot. When I jumped back into the story, I'll be honest, it felt pretty much the same. Some of the cutscenes were absolutely stunning, showing expression to the characters, but you only see those after slogging through a 2-hour-long story quest. But the combat, that is when I realized I was completely wrong. You know how I mentioned that the combat did not click with me? Well, that is because I was only clicking. When I first played, I thought the combat was just spamming the left mouse button and occasionally hitting the E. On my second try, I discovered there is much more depth to it. For example, holding the E triggers a different moveset than just tapping it. And if you wait for the gauge to fill, you could press or hold the E to perform 2 complete unique actions. Holding the left mouse button lets you unleash a heavy attack, which I completely missed the first time. And honestly, yes, you can type in the comments, "You idiot, this was explained in the tutorial." Well, let me tell you something. I 100% skipped that part, and that because I had to listen to Abby's high ass speaking while Nicole was constantly shoving her chest on the screen. So yeah, I probably skipped it. Now of course, I had one main goal when I came back, and that is get Yanagi. I started grinding, completing events, story missions, and anything else that rewards pulls. And after 60 summons, and with only 6 days left in the banner, I finally got her. Would I have quit Zenless Zone Zero if I didn't? Most likely, but since I did get her, I didn't quit the game. And I keep playing till this day, and I'm still having fun with it. Sure, I might not fully understand what's going on in the story, but the combat has become more satisfying than I originally gave it credit for. In the end, I did something I thought I'd never do, and that is go back to a game I dropped, and I'm glad I did. The real question is, should I go back to Genshin Impact? Maybe. There's a small chance, but maybe they changed their game after 3 years of me not playing it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.